Iboma Singh, Honorable Dean, School of Humanities, Manipur University, Professor Iram Gambhir Singh, Head, Department of English and Cultural Studies, Manipur University, all the esteemed professors present in this August House belonging to the Manipur University, all the Sahitya Academy awardees present in this August House, all the poetry lovers and the cultured souls present in this August Hall. Let me clarify. I am not a scholar, neither am I a scholar, nor do I call it scholarship, nor am I an original thinker. Why then this audacity on my part? I have a sense of offering anything and everything at the lotus feet of the Supreme Divine Mother. And this sense of surrender is the sole source of my strength and audacity. Before I speak on poetry, rather poetic vision, let me ask you a simple question on this great auspicious day of World Poetry Day. Can you name me the name of the longest epic in English literature? Longest epic in English literature. I am repeating. Longest, the title of the longest epic in English literature. Can you name me? Longest epic in English literature. And the name of the author. Longest epic in English literature. If I say only the longest epic, then it would be Mahabharata. But Mahabharata is in Sanskrit language. But I am asking you, the longest epic in English literature, it is not Paradise Lost. I am giving you a hint. Paradise Lost is not the longest epic, not even Iliad or Odyssey. Then, which is the longest epic in English literature, and the name of the author, and the title of that epic. Do you have any idea? Fortunately or unfortunately, Savitri is the longest epic. Savitri is the longest epic in English literature, authored by none other than Maharishi, Mahaviplavi, Mahayogi, Mahakavi Sri Aurobindo. An Indian has created the longest epic in English literature. Sri Aurobindo is the author of the great epic Savitri, and Savitri is the longest epic in English literature. And I am today in the midst of the English department, Manipur University. So, on this World Poetry Day, my heads off to Sri Aurobindo, and let me speak few poetic vision through his lens only. I will be sharing only one poetic vision, though I can continue to deliver for 2 hours, but I will limit my lecture because I have to catch up my flight at 12:45. So I will be delivering, I will be speaking on one of his poetic vision, one vision, which compares the poetry of 21st century or the poetry with the modern poetry with the poetic poetry. So this is the one poetic vision I will be sharing with you. Then I will recite an English poem of Sri Aurobindo, along with my own Assamese translation. And if time permits, I will recite one of my original poems. So let's begin with his poetic vision. Sri Aurobindo says, to us means to modern people, poetry is a revel. Poetry is a revel. And what is the meaning of the word revel? R-E-V-E-L, revel, a time of enjoyment. Time of enjoyment. To us, poetry is a revel of intellect and fancy. Poetry is a revel of intellect and fancy for us. For us, that is to say, modern people like us. And what is imagination to us? For us, imagination is plaything. imagination, a plaything, catered for our amusement. I am not saying, says the author of the longest epic in English literature, Maharishi Mahakavi Sri Aurobindo, that imagination to the modern man, a plaything, catered for our amusement, our entertainer, the nuts girl of the mind, nuts girl. What is the meaning of the nuts girl? Nuts girl, a professional dancing girl in India. So for us, poetry is imagination, imagination is for us entertainer, for us poetry is nuts girl of our mind. But then, what was the poetry to the old? Maharishi says, but to the man of the old, the poet was a seer. Poet was a seer, a revealer of hidden truth. Not the entertainer of our imagination, but the revealer of hidden truths. Imagination no dancing portion, but a priestess. Imagination was a priestess in God's house. And why the poet was commissioned? Poet was commissioned not to spin fictions, but to image difficult and hidden truths. But to image difficult and hidden truths. So then, why we use metaphor in modern day poetry, and why the Poetic poets were using metaphor? There is radical difference between these two. And Maharishi says, even the metaphor or simile in the poetic style is used with a serious purpose. With a serious purpose. And what was that serious purpose? And expected to convey reality. Expected to convey reality. Not to suggest a pleasing artifice of thought. So what was that? What was that serious purpose? The image was to these seers a revelative symbol, a revelative symbol of the unrevealed. And it was used because it could hint luminously to the mind what the precise intellectual word apt only for logical and practical thought. Because the intellectual word, logical word, are only apt for logical and practical thought, not to reveal hidden truths. And that is why image was to these seers a revelative symbol of the unrevealed. And it was used because it could hint luminously to the mind. And what the precise intellectual word apt only for logical or practical thought or to explain the physical and the superficial could not at all hope to manifest. Then what is the function of art and poetry? The second poetic vision. I will limit only to that vision only. What is the functions of poetry and art? Maharishi has earmarked three functions. Number one function. The first and primary function of art and poetry is to embellish life. With what? With beauty. To embellish life with beauty is only the most outward functions of art and poetry. Most outward functions of the art and poetry is to embellish life with beauty. Then the second function, to make life more intimately beautiful. To make life more intimately beautiful and noble and great and full of meaning is its higher office. But what is the highest office? Maharishi says, but its highest comes when the poet becomes the seer. When the poet becomes the seer and reveals to man. What poet is to reveal to man? His eternal self. Poet is to reveal to me my eternal self. Who am I? Who am I? And the Godheads of its manifestation. So these are the three functions of art and poetry. to embellish life with beauty than to make life more intimately beautiful and noble and great and full of meaning. And the highest of it is, highest comes when the poet becomes the seer and reveals to man his eternal self and the Godhead of its manifestation. So these two poetic visions, first one was the comparison between the Vedic poetry and the modern day poetry, and the second one was the functions of art and poetry. Now let me recite Maharishi's one English poem. That is a 14-line sonnet, along with my Assamese translation. Though whether I do not know whether you will be able to understand my Assamese or not, and that is why let me first recite his English one. The title of the poem is Transformation. So Sri Aurobindo writes, my breath runs in a subtle rhythmic stream. My breath runs in a subtle rhythmic stream. It fills my members with a might divine. I have drunk the infinite. I have drunk the infinite like a giant's wine. I have drunk the infinite like a giant's wine. Time is my drama. Time is my drama, or my peasant dream. Now are my illumined sails joy's flaming scheme, and sends my thrilled and branching nerves to find channels of rapture and haline for the influx of the unknown and supreme. I am no more a vessel of the flesh. I am no more a vessel of the flesh, a slave to nature and her lead and rule. I am caught no more in the senses' narrow mass. My soul unhorizon widens. My soul unhorizon widens to measureless sight. My body is God's happy living tool. My spirit a vast sun of deathless light. Now let me recite my Assamese translation. Sondomai dharane prabahito nissat mor mridubanda. Devubam parakromere kore imur protiyongo poripurna. Okhimokmoi korisu pan okuror purakom. Kal mor mahanatya othoba kopun samarohere purna. Alokito mor onupur etia britto anandor অভিকল্প লগে রূপান্তর ইহরিত শাখাময় মোর স্নায়ুরাখি দুগ্ধসম শুভ্র নির্মল পরমোল্লাসত বিভোর কুটি জ্ঞানাতীত পরম অজানার অন্তঃপ্রবাহৰ প্ৰতি নহও মই আৰু তেজ মনোহৰ মৰদেহৰ অনুজীৱী নহও মই প্ৰকৃতিৰ কীটনা প্ৰাণহীন প্ৰাকৃত শাসনত বন্দী সংকীৰ্ণ ইন্দ্ৰিয়ৰ জালত মই আৰু নহও লিপ্ত আবদ্ধ অসীম আত্মমোৰ অপ্ৰেমেয় দৃষ্টিৰে দিগন্ত প্ৰসাৰিত তনুমূৰ ভগৱানৰ উল্লসিত কবি হঠাৎ যন্ত্ৰ জীৱন্ত প্ৰাণমূৰ মৃত্যুঞ্জয়ী আলোকৰ সুবিশাল আদিত্য. Now let me recite one of my original poems. The title of the poem is Bharatabarsha. First I will recite the Assamese translation, and it will be followed by Hindi translation. Then it will be followed by Hindi translation. My first Assamese poem, original poem, the title of the poem is Bharatabarsha. Moi Bharatbarsha, ভূগোলৰ সংকীৰ্ণ চিত্ৰ নহয় মোৰ লক্ষ্য, ভূমাৰ অভিব্যক্তি বিশ্বভাৰতী, কালজয়ী ধৰিত্ৰী মাতৃ মৃত্যুঞ্জয়ী মই জগৎজননী। মই ভাৰতবৰ্ষ পৃথিৱীৰ জ্ঞান পুত্ৰ, ভূমি মোৰ মা মই পৃথিৱীৰ পুত্ৰ, ঋষি অথৰ্বৰ কণ্ঠত দুখৰ অতীতত সেই মহামন্ত্ৰ এদিন হৈছিল ধ্বনিত, জগতৰ জীৱন গগন এই বাণীৰেই এদিন হৈ উঠিব সম্বুদ্ধ আৰু প্ৰবুদ্ধ। মই ভাৰতবৰ্ষ সংগঠনৰ সংকীৰ্ণ সীমাৰ মাজত হোৱা নাই মই কোনোদিনে আবদ্ধ, বিশ্ব চেতনাত অৱগাহন মোৰ অস্তিত্বৰ একমাত্ৰ সংকল্প। কোনো যুগে কোনোবিধে ভূগোলৰ ক্ষুদ্ৰখণ্ডী সীমাৰ ফাটেকত কৰিব পৰা নাই কদাপি মোক কাৰাৰুদ্ধ। দুখ খাদ্য সাধন কৰি উজুতি খাই খাই বিশ্ব চেতনাত কৰিম মই অৱগাহন। চিৰজাগ্ৰত জীৱনৰ এয়া মোৰ গান, শাশ্বত মোৰ অনন্ত অস্তিত্ব। সীমাৰ পৰিধিৰ পতাকালত নহওঁ কোনোদিনে মই আবদ্ধ। মই ভাৰতবৰ্ষ, সত্য জ্যোতি দেৱতা আৰু আনন্দ মোৰ অস্তিত্বৰ একমাত্ৰ সংকল্প। পৰা নাই কোনো যুগে কৰিব মোক সীমাত আবদ্ধ। উপজা নাই এনে কোনো বীৰ, কোনে পাৰিব মোক কৰিব অহমৰ পতাকালত কাৰাৰুদ্ধ। পৃথিৱীৰ আলোকবন্তী জগত জননী মই বিশ্বভাৰতী। মই ভাৰতবৰ্ষ, পৃথিৱীৰ জ্ঞান সূৰ্য, মানুহৰ মিলনৰ মই ঐক্যপুত্ৰ। সত্যদ্ৰষ্টা ঋষিৰ তপস্যা সম্ভূত, অজৰ অমৰ মহামন্ত্ৰ বসুধৈৱ কুটুম্বকম আজিও মোৰ হৃদয়ত চিত্ত প্ৰদীপ্ত। চিৰজাগ্ৰত মোৰ সংকল্প, সীমাৰ মাজত স্বাভিমানৰ ক্ষুদ্ৰগণ্ডিত নহওঁ মই কাৰাৰুদ্ধ আবদ্ধ। জ্ঞান প্ৰেম শক্তি ভক্তি আৰু শ্ৰদ্ধাৰে প্ৰণৱন্ত সাধকৰ কুট হৃদয়ত যুগে যুগে পুনঃ পুনঃ হওঁ মই অভিব্যক্ত। Now let me pronounce the Hindi translation and with that conclude my speech. Hindi translation, and with that Hindi translation allow me to conclude my speech. The Hindi translation of this poem. मैं हूं भारतवर्ष, भूगोल का संकीर्ण चिंतन नहीं है मेरा लक्ष्य। हुमा की अभिव्यक्ति मैं हूं विश्व भारत। कालजयी धरित्री मातृ मृत्युंजयी मैं हूं जगत जननी। मैं हूं भारतवर्ष, पृथ्वी का ज्ञान सूर्य, भूमि है मेरी माँ, मैं पृथ्वी का पुत्र हूं। ऋषि अथर्व के कंठ से धूसर अतीत में वह महामंत्र एक दिन हुआ था ध्वनि, जब का जीवन गगन शाश्वत सनातन इस वाणी से ही एक दिन हो जाएगा संबुद्ध और उद्बुद्ध। मैं हूं भारतवर्ष, संगठन की संकीर्ण सीमा के भीतर नहीं हुआ मैं कभी आबद्ध। विश्व चेतना में अवगाहन मेरे अस्तित्व का एकमात्र संकल्प। कोई युग कोई भी भूगोल के क्षुद्र प्रतिबंध संकीर्ण सीमा की कारा में नहीं कर पाया है कभी मुझे कारारूद्ध। असाध्य सात्कार ठोकर खाते खाते विश्व चेतना में एक दिन में करूंगा अवगाहन। शाश्वत सनातन यह मेरा गान, चिरजाग्रत जीवन का नहीं कर सकता मुझे कोई सीमाओं में कारारूद्ध। चिरशाश्वत मेरा अनंत अस्तित्व, सीमा की परिधि की कालकोठरी में नहीं होने वाला कभी मैं आबद्ध। मैं हूं भारतवर्ष, सत्य ज्योति देवता और आनंद मेरे चिरंतन लक्ष्य है। मेरे अस्तित्व का एकमात्र संकल्प है। नहीं कर सका है कोई युग मुझे सीमा के भीतर आबद्ध। जन्म नहीं है ऐसा कोई वीर, कौन कर सकेगा मुझे अहम की कालकोठरी में कारारूद्ध। पृथ्वी का आलोक दीप, हुमा की अभिव्यक्ति जगत जननी मैं हूं विश्व भारती। मैं हूं भारतवर्ष, पृथ्वी का ज्ञान सूर्य, मानव के मिलन का मैं हूं ঐক্য सूत्र। सत्यद्रष्टा ऋषि का तपस्या संबोध अनादि अनंत शाश्वत भारत का अजर अमर महामंत्र वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम आज भी है मेरा हृदय में दीप्त प्रदीप्त। चिरजाग्रत है मेरा संकल्प, सीमा के भीतर स्वाभिमान के क्षुद्र प्रतिबंध में नहीं होने वाला मैं कारारूद्ध आबद्ध। ज्ञान प्रेम शक्ति भक्ति और श्रद्धा से अभिषेक साधक के पवित्र हृदय में जुग जुग में पुनः पुनः होता हूं मैं, होऊंगा मैं अभिव्यक्त। With this Hindi translation and with my immense gratitude and thankfulness to the entire fraternity of the English and Cultural Studies Manipur University, I am concluding my speech here. Thank you and namaskar.